Hello and welcome. Let's take a look at our top story this hour. New Delhi has hosted the Quad Foreign Ministers. India's External Affairs Minister chaired the meeting with the US Secretary of State and the Foreign Ministers of Japan and Australia in attendance. The Quad, officially the Quadrilateral Security Dialogue, is a group of 4 countries: India, the United States, Australia and Japan. The grouping was a concept developed by late Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe as he sought unity among 4 democracies that have seen friction with China. Today's meeting centered around the recent developments in the Indo-Pacific and regional issues of mutual interest. Analysts say the Quad's diplomacy has waxed and waned over the years. It is a loose grouping rather than a formal alliance. China, a country with growing territorial ambitions, has condemned the grouping as a move to encircle it. All 4 Quad members insist a free and open Indo-Pacific is essential. The Quad grouping has repeatedly emphasized its goal is to maintain the liberal, rules-based international order. China seeks to undermine the rules-based order with a revisionist challenge of the status quo. The Quad efforts are not focused on creating institutions or military alliances. The idea is to generate gradual convergence of cooperation on issues such as climate change, critical and emerging technologies, counter-terrorism and cybersecurity.
Not a military, but this is just practical cooperation. And we don't trying to exclude anybody. And, as long as even China abide by the rule of the international norm and also act under the international institutions, standards and rules, then this is not the conflicting issues between China and the Quad.
India has long had tensions with China, including a major border skirmish in 2020, and has a growing alliance with the United States.
India is a critical power, a great power in the region, that there is no reshaping of the Indo-Pacific with the attributes that Australia would seek without India. India is a civilisational power, brings a different perspective to some of the challenges of these times.
For the US Secretary of State, the meeting comes on the heels of a flare-up in tensions with China. Last month, the US shot down what it said was a Chinese surveillance balloon just off the South Carolina after it spent days traveling across the country. Speaking on the Ukraine war, Blinken said Russia cannot be allowed to wage war with impunity. The Quad allies stated the use of nuclear weapons in Ukraine is inadmissible.
We are now engaged very much in working together to help countries deal with humanitarian situations, disasters, and of course we're working on things that are really critical.
Chinese jets have been intercepting the surveillance planes of Australia and other countries in the Indo-Pacific.
We agreed on a counter-terrorism working group. We agreed on cooperating more closely with the Indian Ocean Rim Association. We agreed that there would be we had earlier worked out a HADR initiative. So the standard operating procedures for that, which I think the military people would obviously see as a prerequisite for their cooperation. I think we coordinated on the UN to make sure that the processes of the UN are respected.
With defense outposts on artificial islands, China claims almost all of the South China Sea. The South China Sea is a key gateway for a large chunk of the world's merchant shipping. The sea contains rich fishing grounds and reportedly reserves of undiscovered oil and gas. The South China Sea, therefore, is a key economic and strategic subsection of the Indo-Pacific. Now, for more on this, our principal diplomatic correspondent, Sudan Sybil, sends us this report.
A day after the G20 Foreign Ministers meeting, India hosted the Quad Foreign Ministers meeting for the first time. Now we have seen increased focus on Quad, and this time the joint statement focused on Myanmar, the situation in Ukraine, the free and open Indo-Pacific, that of course remains a reference to China, and also condemn the Mumbai's 26/11 terror attacks. But essentially, this grouping that has 4 countries as its key components are coming together at a time when there has been increased aggressiveness by China, and whatever happens here in Delhi will be duly noted by Beijing, by the mandarins in Beijing. In fact, this meeting comes just a day after the Indian External Affairs Minister and a new Chinese Foreign Minister met here in Delhi. And after that meeting, we know that the Indian External Affairs Minister said that the relationship remains abnormal. It is not normal, primarily because of the ongoing situation in India's northern borders when it comes to the Chinese aggressiveness. But all in all, a very important meeting of Quad, a meeting that essentially shows that how India is trying to focus itself in this grouping, and of course its partnership and relationship, in fact, with US, Australia and Japan. With video journalist Sanjeet Siddhansibal for WION in New Delhi.
WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.